Hey everyone, welcome to Data Dojo episode number 1. Today I have a very inspiring entrepreneur with me. Her name is Anna Anisin. She is an entrepreneur. She leads a data science salon which hosts conferences and connects many people in data field and AI. She's a mentor and she's an amazing inspired woman. So hope you all will learn a lot from her, and I'm super glad to have her today and inaugurating our podcast channel. So with that, I'll just hand it over to Anna to introduce herself. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Swagata, for having me on your podcast. It's such an honor to be your first guest. My name is Anna Anisin, and I'm an entrepreneur. I guess I would call myself a serial entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was like 16. I had like an eBay store. That's when eBay first came out. And I found like a supplier in China where I got shoes and bags, and I resold them to people here. So that was like my very first business. And then I just got excited from there, and then essentially got into tech from there. But now I'm involved in a few different things. Data science salon, which is amazing to be part of and have seen it really grow from its inception 6 years ago. And I think that's how we connected as Swagata, because you've been one of the thought leaders in the space. So and we gather folks like you together in your different cities, and also we have different content. Also we have a podcast and webinars and trainings and things like that. And aside from that, I run Formulated by, which is an agency where we help other companies build communities and also connect with their personas in a more creative way. And I'm also working on a startup on the side as well. So I have a lot going on in the startup. It's a Gen AI and marketing product, which I've been working on for a while. So it's really exciting to be kind of in the space from all different angles.
Wow, that's a lot of hats you're wearing. So you mentioned like you started off from being a business entrepreneur. I'm curious to know, like, how did you pivot yourself into a career in tech, especially in data science? Like, what led you to take that decision?
I started when I first started, that's when like literally the internet came online, right? So I guess I was always looking for tech to like use for business, right, and to make money. Mm-hmm. So the next thing I did after the eBay store, I started a company called Baseball Beauties, which was community for female baseball fans, and also had an affiliate e-commerce part attached to it. And back then it was very simple, like there wasn't as much of like search was very primitive in the beginning. Ads were like, it was just so in the beginning, but I taught myself a lot of those things. And then that company got acquired when I was 25, and that's when I really got into the Valley, because I kind of like pretty much taught myself with about technology and how it can really make you money and how you can build community around it, right? So that, and then how did I get into data science? So after after I had my that success, I built another company called Pasari, which I exited 10 years ago now, 2013, and we got acquired. And what that was, it was actually built the first SaaS / marketplace for funeral homes. So for that industry, yeah. And I got acquired by a big insurance company in 2013. So then I took a little bit of time off, and then I joined the team at Domino Data Lab as their founding CMO. And it was just literally like, that's when they first started. Like, it was just Nick and Chris and Matthew and Fernando, who was like the first engineer in the company. So that's how I got into data science, by building, like helping them figure out how to market that product to people like you. Yeah. We were like the first data science platform, and then everybody kind of started doing data science platforms. Like now there's like thousands of them. But so that's how I got into the space. I was there for a couple of years, and then I launched Formulated by and Data Science Salon after that. So, and here we are now. So
Oh, awesome. Yes, I've had a chance to talk to Domino Labs like way back, and yeah, it was a pretty cool product and very, very innovative back then. So, I mean, you've had like a very entrepreneurial journey. You've like started many companies, and I'm curious. You've also been in the industry for a long time. So, as a women in tech, we still are a minority, and I still feel like there is misconception and challenges that we face much more than men counterparts. Has there been any challenges you faced, or you feel like there is a reason why there has been a minority because of so and so challenges that exist?
I've been talking about this subject for, gosh, I told you how old I was, almost 20 years now since I got into the space, right? So, and also uh, raising money now to actually going out there to raise money then to now, it's much better actually. So I've seen a lot of improvement, which is really exciting because I feel like that's like gives us hope, right? That there's like a different level of respect, but at the same time I'm much older, right? So I don't know if that has to do with actually having a lot more experience as well, right? But when I was raising money in my 20s, even my late 20s, it was really like people don't even talk to you, because my co-founder was a guy, so they would just talk to him. Yeah, like it was very like toxic. And even when I joined Domino, I was always like, I was the only woman up in like literally like for a while. So it was very, I feel like, yeah, definitely. I mean, when I started my own company and when I hired, I always hire very female and very diverse teams and stuff, because that's what I like, because I like to work with people that are not like myself but also different, right? And like, just I think people like I always encourage diversity, because it just encourages like different thinking, right? Like I think not just like in the whole environment, but even in data, like when you're working on data sets or you're like looking at data, like you need different people to look at that stuff versus just like the same people or the same type of personas. And a lot of people in the Valley tend to hire like people just like them.
Yeah.
Because they feel more comfortable with those people, and I get that, right? But you have to be outside of the box to be successful, because the companies I've seen really do well in this space like have been like very outside of the box.
Absolutely.
So I think, yeah, like I think it's changing slowly.
Yeah. Have a long way to go.
Oh yeah. So yeah, but I think there's hope.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Like I've also faced something similar. Of course, I'm not an entrepreneur, but if there is a male counterpart on something that I am proposing, there's always like, oh, let's take another word from the male counterpart, and they'll always have suspicion on whether my opinion is at par with the male counterpart. So it is changing definitely, and we are walking towards progress, but I still feel we have a long way to go.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sorry that you're dealing with that. Yeah, that's not, I think, yeah, it has to, I think also organization, culture, all of that, right?
Right.
I think that has to do with all of like how people are treated or what's expected, like, because yeah, like you can't do that. Like, I'm sorry, like you shouldn't be able to like just like, that's not okay. Especially if you're the seniority that you are, you should have like the final say and not be questioned.
Yeah, I guess sometimes it's not like very explicit where they say, but the body language and the expression, you can just feel it, like, yeah. But
yeah, we're working on it, right? They're working.
They're working on it. So to ask you, like, with your experience for young women who are in their 20s or starting their careers, is there any piece of advice you would give if you had to go back 20 years? Would you do things differently?
The only advice I think I would give myself is to be more patient, because I think I was very like trying to do so many things and like all at once, and just not really being able to wait. And I think I've probably the failures that I've had to do with that, right? But I think it's good. I encourage failure. I think failure is what you need to get to your successes. So I wouldn't change anything that I've done, because I feel like I wouldn't be where I am today, right? And just in general. But I think for my younger self, I think, yeah, like you just need to slow down, really like chill out, because I think there's definitely there's time to do things, and you can do a lot of things. I think you have several different careers in your lifetime, start many different companies. So
Yeah, I agree. I have seen that in the younger generation, like they're very, by the time I'm 30, I want to do this. They put a lot of pressure and financial freedom and achieving
Yeah.
success very early in their careers. So, yeah, I think that's a lesson to be learned by the younger generation. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I also feel like I want to know your thoughts on this. Like, mentorship is something that I've recently been familiar with. I did not realize the importance of having a mentor or somebody to, that can be somebody in your field or somebody, in general, can be as a life coach. So, did you have a mentor when you were starting out, or do you think it's really important to have right now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it is very important. I mean, for me, honestly, when I was in the Valley, it was not easy to find mentors. And I've talked about this before. I've written about this like on Medium that it was kind of like hard. Like people like be like, no, like I'm not gonna be your mentor because like I don't know if it was like if they thought it was competitive or whatever, you know what I mean? If it was that or it just that they didn't have time to do it, right? But I think it's now I think there's more opportunity to have mentors, and that's why I always, whatever I'm involved in, I try to have some kind of a mentorship aspect attached to it because I feel like it's so important because I think it's not really like broadly available to people. If you don't know how to like if you don't know where to go to look for it, like you're not gonna find a mentor because I think it is very important, yes, as you know, you said yourself, because it could really like shape the way your path goes, right? I had mentors, but they were not really women. They were mostly men for me. So I think that's why, like, yeah, I got women later. Like now, I have women, and like the more I like grew in my career, I feel like I got more respect from women. But in
Yeah.
the beginning, I feel like with me, like I feel like it's hard because women don't really want to like help you out in the beginning. I feel like they want to like see some traction, like,
Yeah.
and then we'll invest in you later. But like, I feel like, yeah, like that's what I've seen. So I try to do the opposite because I feel like you really need that support in the beginning.
True, true, true. But do you think that is changing? Like more and more women are supporting each other and pushing.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I mean, we have a lot more networks. Again, I'm not like saying like I'm sure you've heard of Chief and stuff. I think those kind of things should be free for people. I don't think they should be like membership. Like I don't think it's fair because not everybody can afford it, like the huge membership fees. But I think there's more of those outside of that are forming. I think there's more, like women in tech, there's women in AI, and
Yeah. Yeah.
there's different. I feel like wherever you are, you can build those communities, and I think like mentorship should be first of mind in those because I think like again the more you give back, the more you receive, right? And I feel like if you're teaching people, you're giving them feedback, then you find things that you could probably be doing better yourself too. So I think it's good for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. And I think like you mentioned in one of your answers, like, whenever you hire for your company, you make sure that you have a team which is more diverse and, has women and men and different backgrounds and different mindsets apart from how you think. Do you think like companies follow that these days, or what can we do to encourage company to have more diversity, and especially for women and women of color and different categories of women as well?
Yeah, well, I think like again, I think that's a great question, and I would like to hear your answer to it as well after. But I think it could be like I think some companies are never going to do that, like, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that there are like, I mean, Salesforce and Mark Bannihoff, I really like. I think he's great because he's always made that a priority at his company, right? To always have some, I mean, even though I know like some people think it's like maybe it's bad to do that, but I do think it's not bad. Okay. We need to like put that in writing. Like we need to do that. We need to enforce that.
Yeah.
So there will be companies like that will enforce that, and hopefully more will follow. But unfortunately, I think with like the bro culture, it's not going anywhere. It's here. Like, I mean, I feel like we just need to create more of our own culture like that for women, right? That is like, no, I don't like that culture. I'm not saying duplicating that culture, but doing something like completely different, but that's like welcoming for women and creating like a community for us to be not threatened and like be helped and get mentors. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is getting there. It's getting better, but we all need to come together and do a better job at it as well in all of our communities, right?
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I feel like one of the I lead a chapter in San Francisco for women in data, and I have these regular meetups with women. And most of the women who are looking for jobs, I always observe that they are always, I don't fit in because I don't match 80% of the requirements, and they won't even apply to that job. And even when I've been in a position where I could hire somebody for my company, I would see like if there are 100 applicants, more than 80 of them are men. And the qualifications that men meet, even if they meet like 20 to 30%, they go ahead and apply. But when it comes to women, they always have this doubt that, oh, I don't meet 80% of the requirements, so I better not apply. And the thing that we need to do as a community is make the women feel more confident. Like, you don't need to be 100%, meet all the requirements, just apply. What's the worst that could happen? You probably will get rejected. So I think that is important when you have these kind of communities and encourage women that, I was also like this a couple of years ago. I was very underconfident, but whenever opportunity came, I would just go through, and even if you are 20%, you'll just learn on the job, or figure it out. So that kind of mindset needs to be instilled, I think, in women to be more confident, because organizations that are willing to hire but they don't get enough women candidates, so how do they balance the diversity?
No, you're totally right. And I think that all comes from mentorship too, before that, and within organizations too, like encouraging more people to apply for even internal jobs, and right. So, but yeah, I think that's totally, I think men they're just more confident, man.
Yeah, it's just ingrained in them. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, again, we can do that too. So I think we just need to be more encouraged, just have more, be elevated, right? So that's part of our job, and I think it's good that you're building community as well to do that too. So
absolutely, yeah. All right, I think we have wrapped up this topic. So before we move on to the next topic of discussion, we have a fun segment which is called a rapid fire. So I'll ask you some questions, and you have to, without giving it a lot of thought, just answer what comes straight. No thinking. All right. Okay, first question. Coding or management?
Management.
Startup or corporate?
Startup.
Favorite tech gadget?
Pivot.
Role model in tech?
I think Steve Jobs and thank you. Steve Jobs and Mark Benioff.
Okay, I agree. Morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
High five. One word to describe your tech journey?
Growth.
Ebooks or hard copy tech manuals?
Ebooks.
Favorite technology product?
iPhone so far.
Yeah, awesome. You did really well.
Sorry, both of my kids just said came in.
Still managed, and that's how women manage.
That's what we do. I got flowers.
So sweet.
So yeah, no, I think it does take a lot to balance all of these things, but you can do it. You could be a mom and have management jobs and be a mentor and have a business and all that.
I think the busier you get, the better you get at being efficient.
Yes, you just learn, because I think what they say, the busier the person, like the more they can get done. You've heard that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happens when you just get more. You just get more. Like you just have processes and you just make shit happen.
You appreciate the free time you had, and then just you like.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I've seen my mother do that. All right, moving on to the next topic. So we're going to talk about discussing, data science as a growth tool, and this is probably something you have a lot of experience in. So can you share, some misconceptions about data science in business? Because primarily it is still seen more in terms of, most people pursue it as a tech career, but not much thought is given it as a business career. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think right now, especially that OpenAI and ChatGPT just turned 1, I feel like right now this is going to be the most important thing for everybody, not just people in the data spot, like space like you, but it's going to be important for everybody, especially people in those higher positions, because they have to really understand what a generative AI, like, what does that mean?
Right.
what is the strat, like, do we even have a data strategy right now, right? Like, because we need that beforehand, like, so that I think people are going to need to understand a lot more about that. So I think it's more important than ever, right? Not just as a like a role, right, but it's also as like a whole kind of segment of business. I think there's going to be a lot more like people that are going to be explaining this to other people, right?
Right.
And I think people, like, I think you're one of those people that you could talk to anybody, right? So I think especially those data practitioners that can be, that you can go to the management and you can be like, look, this is like what you need. This is what it, like, in very simple terms where they can feel very confident and they can do their jobs, right? Then that's really going to be valuable. So I think it's just, this is the time for all of this, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just gonna be, the misconception is gonna get more clear as because of all this whole buzz thing, that, and every company that wants to like pretty much have some kind of a data strategy now.
So, like, given the buzz of ChatGPT, LLMs, and Gen AI, do you feel like companies feel the pressure? And most times, simpler models or simpler things can solve the problem that you're trying to solve, but because of the buzz, companies and startups feel the pressure to use the buzz, and it may not be like the optimum solution for them. Do you feel that is the case? And like, how should companies and individuals tackle that pressure?
Yeah, of course. We actually did a survey like in the beginning of the year. Last year, it was like in February, and literally like, I remember like it was like 80% or something of the companies said that they're going to be applying, like they're thinking about applying a generative AI strategy.
Yeah.
Like nobody even knew, like ChatGPT just came out, right? So like, yeah, I think it's just like everybody is is under pressure to do that, right? So I think again, that's a huge opportunity, as I said, for like not just tools, but also like companies that can, as I said, be those experts and help like companies do this, right? How do we actually do this? Because a lot of these companies don't have a data team. Like a lot of them maybe just have one data person, or maybe they have like some BI people, but they don't really know what the machine learning really is. It's very like, I think people are going to be trying to scramble to figure out what to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's a good opportunity to help them do that with this whole thing.
Right. I agree. Yeah, a lot of times, like I've experienced, like, we want to use this tool, even if it doesn't solve the problem. We have to use this because it is the state of the art, or it is what's creating the buzz. So irrespective if we have a simpler solution, we don't take it, we take this. So yeah, I guess I understand the pressure and I understand the value, because you want to stay ahead of the curve and ahead of your peers. But there has to be a balance as to, you can market it in a certain way, but at the same time use what's optimally right for you.
Yeah, you don't need an LLM to do this. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I'm hoping that people will figure that out as we continue on.
So I think some of your answers, you mentioned like a lot of marketing experience I think you had. And given that somebody who wants to start, a data science company, and how do they start by marketing it and expanding it and scaling it? Do you have any tips that you can share with us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it depends on, what kind of companies are going to be. Like, are you thinking about a B2B or a B2C company? Because I think those would be a little bit different.
Let's talk about both.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is figuring out who your personas are, who's going to be using your product right first, and then going to those people and figuring out what the problem is. Like, what are the pain points they're having? And then how do we build a product to solve those? So that is really kind of the beginning of that.
Right.
And then once you find those people, then you figure out like what publications do they read, what events do they go to, what kind of content did they connect with, right? What networks are they on? Like, are they on LinkedIn or Twitter, or are they on Instagram, right? Like, so that's kind of how you start. And then you start going and finding the influencers, and then having them hopefully giving you a time of day to look at the product and maybe say something about it, right? But I think, and then at the same time, you also have to have a really strong content strategy, SEO strategy, all of that stuff. So you can and then also ads, so you can really target that person from all kinds of different places, not just from the community side, but also through those different places that they're at, like the different communities and the publications that they're reading. So you want to be in front of them all the time and get as much feedback as you can, so you can really find that product market fit. Right. And then once you find that, then you can really make it perfect. No, I mean, there's nothing really perfect, okay? Because I feel like as a startup, you're gonna pivot, you're gonna change things, you're gonna like try to fix things, and there may be other use cases that you didn't see in the beginning. So, but I think it's a growth. It's kind of like one of those things that then as long as you find a product market fit, there's a lot of opportunity with your product. Yeah, and there's so many different marketing channels then.
Absolutely, that's great insights. One thing I have observed is like there are people who are who are engineers. They tend to not regard marketing as much as they want to focus on building the product and making it perfect before they focus on marketing and design and other aspects. But I've seen another set of people who keep the audience in loop with what they are doing. Hey, we are working on this beta version, and they keep on posting on social media and market the product right from its nascent stage, even when it's not developed. And then when the product is actually released, there is already like so much anticipation that is generated and the buzz that is generated that people end up using that product more, even if it's not as good as the other perfect product which wasn't marketed from the beginning.
Yeah, no, I think first question would be is which product do you just stand out to you that had a good strat, like the thing that, like which product did this, what you just described recently, that stands out to you that you remember that had such a great strategy?
Products that I've observed are from like the incubators, like Y Combinator incubators. I've been following them, and I see like some of the successful out of the cohort, they start telling about the product. Hey, I'm launching, like one of them was actually a data science platform itself, and they started even in the stealth mode, they kept on giving information. This is what we are building, and sign up for the beta users. They'll give like small peek into what the product can do. And the other product, which was again in the data science platform space, did not do that. And I could see the difference of how much buzz and how much attention that even I signed up for their like somebody who's had like hundreds of emails on similar advertisements. I wanted to sign up and see like what different are they doing, because they created so much hype and buzz around it.
Right. I think that's also a great question. And I think honestly, there's not many products that are successful with that. I think that's one in many. But I think that's why we always like talk about having an open source strategy where you offer like either an open source or a free version of your product to generate, buzz. And also, I think the main thing about this, as I mentioned, it's about the feedback. Like, you can't really take like something and just go build it because two guys or whoever think it's like what everybody needs, right? Because like they don't need that. Just like maybe there's like 10 guys that need it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you need, like, you can't, like, that's really like, that's like more old school way of doing it. I feel like maybe 20 years ago people would have done it that way. I think now it's definitely more thinking like you need to bring it out there. You need to get community around it. You need to get feedback. You need to figure out who the users are, like, because maybe you're wrong. Maybe it's not like the data scientist. Maybe it's going to be the ML engineer that's going to use your product. Right. So like, again, but without like you actually going out there to have them use it, you don't know. So yes, I think but again, not everybody, like, I think it's very important to understand that not everybody can afford to do that, because sometimes if you raise money, like the board will be like, no, you're not going to do an open source strategy. So I feel like it just depends where you are, but that is a great strategy to consider if you can't actually afford to do it, or like, you know what I mean? It's you have a supportive board to let you actually spend like a year doing that to build community and then release something into it.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, very, very interesting points. I think, I guess we are almost at the end, and we have another quick rapid fire question for you. This is just 5 questions, so let's start. One book that every person in data should read.
This one is actually that's unreasonable hospitality is anybody that's building a product or anything or in data. It's really about customer service, and that's also very important when you're building a product because so yeah, I think this is for any data or any person. I just have it laying here because I actually suggested to people. So sorry, I couldn't think of it faster. But yeah, that's a good one. Unreasonable hospitality.
AI, is it opportunity or threat?
Opportunity.
Great, absolutely. One word to describe you.
Fierce.
Awesome. Favorite data visualization tool?
Plotly.
I love it too. Last question. We did like a little bit stalking and found out that you love shoes. So if you had to ask you shoes or data, which one would you choose?
I mean, obviously shoes. Yeah, like it's just data you can't touch, with your hands or put it on.
Of course. So do you want to share like how many pair of shoes you have? Like a rough estimate.
Yeah, I have around 300 or so.
Oh, wow. So you have like I'm sure you have like a big closet where you have all of them. Yeah, you're like Gary Bradshaw of data science world.
Well, thank you. That's a big honor for you to say that, Swagata.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Anna, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure getting your insights and just would love to have you again and build this connection. Thank you.
Of course, continue on and please continue on to spread the mentorship and awareness with our community.